This is the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network, your number one source of information, education, and entertainment. For honest, responsible, and dependable information, we stand supreme. To stay focused, inspired, and relaxed, choose green. Ekabo, and welcome to the Ifa Bemero Show. And as usual, today we are going to do some teaching on Ifa Orisa. All right. I'm going to continue, of course, from last week's lessons, but before I do this, I just want to offer some prayers, or rather, to recite an Iba. Iba Olodumare, Oba Aterere Kaye, Iba Atiyo Ojo, Iba Atiwo Orun, Iba Ile Ogere Afokoyo Yiri, Iba Oronmila Ileri Ipen, Iba Egba Imole Ojokotu, Iba Egba Iromole Ojukosi, Iba Okanle ni Iriwo Iromole, Iba Akoda, Iba Asheda, Iba Awo Iya Afin Juaye, Iba Egungun Ile, Iba Baba, Iba Yeye, Iba Olowo, Iba Ojogbona, Iba Ianifa, Iba to the element of space, Iba to the element of time, and Iba to the element of movement. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Just for a brief review of last week's lesson. Last week we went into what is an Iba, where does it fit in, when to do an Iba, and why it is important. All right. We spoke about the order of the Iba and all of that. All right. There is one correction I want to make from last week's lesson. And the first essay Ifa that I gave that spoke about the importance of gratitude, the name proper is Iwori Owori. Right? However, I think I referred to it as Iwori Osa. All right. Now it's Iwori Owori or Iwori Ileri. Now I refer to it as Iwori Ileri because the actual essay Ifa makes reference to the market of Ileri. All right. I also spoke about Oronmila on the last lesson. I also went into the laws concerning Ifa. All right. Now, today, what I would like to do is I would like to go into some measure of detail concerning the 8 essences of Ifa. Today, I want to speak specifically about one of the subjects that is covered under the essences, the scientific essence, as part of the 8 essences of Ifa. Now I'm going to read again all that it entails, and then I'm going to today speak on astronomy, which is listed as one of the subjects of the scientific essence. Scientific essence number 7, the scientific essence. This deals with the power of observation, axiomatics, astronomy, cosmology, cognitive and precognitive experience, astral science, physical science, logic, mathematics, natural science, and computer science. So, today, as I mentioned, we are going to get into the aspect that deals specifically with astrology. Now, I want to be very specific here in explaining that given the fact that the practice of Ifa Orisa is an international practice, there are many schools of thoughts concerning many of the subjects that would be discussed on this program, right? Today's discussion is going to be about the scientific essence of Ifa, and in particular, I'm going to deal with the subject of, again, astronomy. All right. Now, the first point I want to make is I'm going to tie in the relationship with astrology and astronomy, which is something very important for people to understand. Because generally, when one hears the term astronomy, one does not relate it to astrology. So, what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give a very clear definition of what it is. All right. Now, around the 1200s, the term astronomy kind of became into vogue and started being used. All right. Now, astronomy, I'm reading directly from the etymology dictionary now. Astronomy, astrology, scientific or occult studies of heavenly bodies, from the Old French astronomy, astronomy, astrology, Latin astronomia, from the Greek astronomia, abstract noun from astronomos, which literally translates into star regulating, from astron, which is star. All right, so it's a combination of astron and nomos, which has to do with arranging and regulating as it pertains to rules and laws. The root word being nem, which means to assign or allot or to take. All right, and these were perhaps originally used with reference to mapping the constellation and the movement of the planet. Now, in ancient Kemetic, in the esoteric schools and the lodges, particularly the Grand Lodge of Luxor, there was a sixth degree that was called astronomos, right, where the students would learn the cycles of astrology and the manipulation of cosmic forces and their reaction in the cells, thoughts, biochemistry, organs, bones, emotions, vitamins, and minerals, as well as in the body and on the entire galaxy. So these are age-old sciences that has been known for time from a long time ago. All right. Now, how does this link in particular to Ifa Orisha? This is the big question, right? In various systems, traditions, and culture, you have what is referred to as archetypes. You would have something that is symbolic or representative of something, and by that pattern, many other things are designed. Most traditions and culture incorporate mythology as the means by which they transmit the information from one generation to another generation. Within all of these mythologies, the essence of truth is clothed. So, in order to be able to get the real messages that are within the myths, one is required to have a particular knowledge, whether it is a knowledge of the language to which the tradition belongs, or whether it is to have particular keys or secret information that would normally decode and bring out the essence of what the body of knowledge is trying to preserve. So now today, I am going to read an article that I found to be very interesting that actually made the connections and the comparisons with the Orishas as well as the planets in our solar system or galaxy. All right, this article could be found on the Sherry Freedom online slash Vedic astrology slash remedial measures slash Orisha and planets. All right, also information regarding Ifa Orisha and astrology could also be found in these two particular documents that I found to be very interesting, written by an author by the name of Medahochi. One of them is called The 16 Great Oludu Signs, and the other book is called The 16 Great Signs and Writings. All right, both documents goes into great detail in making comparison with the planets, the astrological system, as well as giving all of the associations with the Orishas. So I'm now going to read the article. The article is entitled The African Orisha and the Planets. The first comparison that is made is between the sun. It says the sun manifests as Obatala and is known as the essence of clarity. He always wears white and illuminates truth and righteousness. He is the eldest of all Orishas and creator of the human bodies. He is also called Alabalashe, which means he who has divine authority, referred also to as Baba Arugbo, which means old master or father, and Orishanla, which represents the arch divinity. Okay, so after the sun, the other planet and the comparison to the Orishas is the moon and Yamonja. The moon manifests as Yamonja. Yamonja is also written as Yamaya, Yamoja, Yimowo, Yimala, Yimana, Yimonja Lamanja, Jainana, Yama, Yemaya, Limania, Madre Agua, Syrian, Lasarin. Now, all of these are names in different cultures and different traditions that refer to who we know as Yamonja. All right? She represents, like the moon, the spirit of motherhood, mother of the waters, and in particular, salt water, and the queen of the ocean. She also represents amniotic fluid in the womb of the pregnant woman, as well as the breast, because she is the nurturer. She is the protective energy of the feminine force and called the spirit of moonlight. She is associated with a bowl and often the color of water, which is light blue. All right. She has many different forms as the moon has many different phases. Ogunte, in this aspect, she is a warrior with a belt of iron weapons like Ogun. This part lives by the rocky coastlines. Her colors are crystal dark blue and sometimes red. Esesu, she is said to be deaf and answers her patrons slowly. She is associated with ducks and still waters. Her colors are pale blue and coral. Okoto, this aspect is known as the underwater assassin. Her colors are indigo and blood red, and she is associated with pirates. Majaliwo, this aspect lives in the forest with Osai, or who we call Osain, who is the herbal Orisha. She is associated with the marketplace, and her shrines are decorated with 21 plates. Her colors are teals and turquoise. Ibu Aro, this aspect is similar to Majaliwo in that she associated with markets. Commerce, and her shrines are decorated with plates. Her colors are darker indigo, crystal, and red coral. Her husband is the Orisha Oshumare. Ashaba, this aspect is said to be so beautiful that no human can look at her directly. Olokun is another Orisha associated with the sea, portrayed as a male in some places and as a female in others. The energy is very similar to Varuna in that this Orisha represents unfathomable wisdom and the depth of the ocean. He is depicted as a royal, stern, and yet deeply spiritual and meditative. He plays a role of helping human beings pass into the realm of the ancestors or the Igun. All right. Now, folks, remember what is being presented would also represent various forms of practices of Ifa Orisha regionally. So, some of the information you're hearing, some of the myths, some of the patakis, some of the stories are not from any one source. All right. So, that has to be considered when this reading is being done. All right. The other planet that is spoken about is Mars. Mars manifests as Ogun, lord of metals, specifically iron, minerals, tools, hunting, wild beasts, accidents, and war. He can be aggressively masculine and is associated with blood and is often called to heal diseases of the blood. His weapon is a machete and he is associated with other iron made weapons. All right. Ushosi is similar to aspects of Mars. He is associated with jail, justice, and those who are persecuted. He is a magician, and his name literally means the one that works with witchcraft. All right. Just as Mars is called, he is a solitary figure in the wilderness, a hunter and a shaman. He carries a bow and arrow and is connected with the hunter communities. Oshasi is known as an ally of the nature spirits of the forest, and in this way, he plays a role similar to Shiva, who is seen as a recluse in the forest. All right. The next planet is Mercury, and Mercury is associated here with Eshu. All right. Now, Eshu is referred to as many names in different cultures. People from Brazil call him Eshu, and it is spelled with the X instead of the S. You have Ilegba, Ilegwa, Ilegbara, Legba, Papa Legba, and Ilida. All right. And of course, these would be the different branches that came from Ifa Orisha acknowledges Eshu as Mercury, but by different names depending on the culture and the language. He is Olorun's linguist and the master of languages, therefore, he is the messenger. He is related to crossroads, gateways, new endeavors, and is called the opener of ways. He is the Orisha of chance and unpredictability, and is known as a trickster. He is also said to assist in enhancing the power derived from herbal medicine. Eshu is from, well, at least known in Brazil, in Umbanda. Eshu is also known in Santeria, Lukumi, and Legba is from the Haitian voodoo tradition. Each also has many forms called paths, like the Ilegua of the river, the Ilegua of the house, or the Ilegua of the road. Each form has variations, different attire, and offerings within their respective tradition. So there is not simple, it is not simple here to understand. So it is important to remember that this is a guide to the surface and only to direct a person to understand better. All right, so that's an important reminder, which I also gave a little earlier. Next is Jupiter. All right, Jupiter is associated to Orunmila. Right, Jupiter manifests through Orunmila, Orula, who is the Yoruba grand priest. He is referred to as Agbo Norigun, the embodiment of knowledge and wisdom. He is associated with divination, called Ileri Ipin, which is witness of faith, and custodian of the Ifa oracle. Just as Jupiter is the greatest benefic, Miller is praised as being more effective than other remedies. He is associated with the Ikwele, and his mala is made from yellow and green beads, or as the case might be, green and earthen brown or red. Like Jupiter, he is associated with wood, and a cedar tree is used in his worship. Well, used for divination, but they said here is worship. All right. Jupiter is also associated with Shango, right, which is the Orisha of the thunderbolt. He is a very famous Orisha in the West or in the diaspora. He has also been associated with Mercury by some. He was a warrior king, immortalized fourth king of Oyo, right, among the Yorubas, whose symbol is the double axe. Shango is associated with masculinity, virility, lightning, stones, and is invoked those those seeking justice. Its function is to lay the foundation for an individual to find and follow his purpose. Venus. Venus is manifested as Oshun and is portrayed as a beautiful woman in a yellow dress. She is the Orisha of fresh water and associated with the cosmological forces of water, moisture, and the flowing motion. She is the Orisha of love, beauty, attraction, and sexuality. She is associated with dance and is often portrayed as dancing erotically. She rules marriage, fertility, control of the feminine essence, and is prayed to for the alleviation of female disorders. Saturn. Saturn manifests through Omalu, the lord of death and disease. He is invoked when someone is sick in order to get a cure. He is also known as Babaluaye. He relates to diseases and specifically epidemics. He was originally concerned with smallpox, but is presently being invoked to deal with influenza, leprosy, HIV, and AIDS. He punishes with illness and rewards with health. He is called the wrath of the supreme God, as it is his job to punish transgressors. Like Saturn, his legs is lame and he undergoes a time of exile from society for breaking social contracts. He shows the space of falling to a low point and then rising back up. All right, and this ends this article. It goes a little bit into something called Rahu, which is the North lunar mode, and also something called Ketu, which is the South lunar node. But I wouldn't really go into that. That is for probably another class and another lesson. But again, I'm saying that what I taught here this evening is simply a analogy or a lesson, a comparative lesson, showing where many of the practitioners of the Ifa Orisha tradition, in whatever form in the diaspora, the myths that are associated to the various Orisha also exhibits or give similar properties of some of the planets that are used in astrology. So that is the link that I was attempting to create in presenting this lesson. All right. Now, again, I'm mentioning the 8 essences of Ifa, and the one particular that I looked at today is the scientific essence, which included astronomy. And from explaining from the etymology of the word astrology, one would see that there is a direct link between astronomy and astrology. Astronomy primarily covered everything, including astrology. Today, it is a separate science. Astronomy today deals basically with the observation of the planets physically, looking at them and viewing them through telescopes. That is how the science is applied today. Whereas the part that has been separated from it is astrology, that deals with not just the position of the planets, but also the relationship to humans, animal, plant life, and everything on the planet. And I want to drive home this last point in closing. One has to consider that the tradition of Ifa Orisha is a nature based tradition, and as a result of which one has to understand the things that function within the framework of nature in order to be able to fully appreciate the tradition. All right, and with that, I would like to close off by saying Odabo, and we would like everyone to like, share, and subscribe. And we will be back next Wednesday on the Ifa Bemero show, where we would continue to discuss the 8 essences of Ifa. Odabo.